If we're being honest, and people won't say it, I will, Ty Simpson schematically is a better fit or marriage for what the Las Vegas Raiders would do under Klint Kubiak than Fernando Mendoza. So Klint Kubiak is a coach, and he's not going to change. This is how he was brought up in football. Most of the things that he does, at least half of the things that he does from a scheme standpoint, are underneath the center. If you look at it, since he's become an offensive coordinator in the NFL, over 50% of the snaps are from underneath the center. That's the most in the last 5+ years in the NFL, okay? Fernando Mendoza took 5 snaps total from underneath the center in his college career. So this is going to be a drastically different experience for Mendoza when it comes to operating the quarterback position. And America, Kubiak's not changing. He's not going to completely try to change the way he goes about offense. So I think that's going to take much more time for Mendoza to get comfortable playing than people expect.
Stop it. Get some help.
Did I just hear Dan Orlovsky correctly? Folks, that was not AI. That was the real Dan Orlovsky making his prediction about Ty Simpson being better than Fernando Mendoza. Talk about the absolute definition of a hot take. This is Sports Guy talking that you guys are watching and listening to. I am Dustin Tran, your host, as I am here today to talk about Dan Orlovsky boldly claiming Ty Simpson will be better than Fernando Mendoza. Despite Fernando Mendoza leading Indiana to a national championship, there are still doubts whether or not Fernando Mendoza will be a great quarterback at the NFL level. If you ask Dan Orlovsky, he believes Ty Simpson is more suited to have NFL success in comparison to Fernando Mendoza. Before I say anything else, though, I want to present you guys with a topic question. So, here it is. How crazy is Dan Orlovsky for believing Ty Simpson will be better than Fernando Mendoza? On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm going to say it's at a 10, and the only reason why it is at a 10 is because I cannot go higher than a 10. It is absolutely insane what Dan Orlovsky is saying. In fact, that take was so incredulously stupid, I have to ask myself, was that take even Dan Orlovsky's real opinion, or is he just saying that to get more clicks on ESPN? Dan Orlovsky believes Fernando Mendoza is going to be a failure at the NFL level, and I'm saying to myself, what is Dan Orlovsky seeing? How does this guy not realize that Fernando Mendoza is not going to be a draft bust? And look, I understand Fernando Mendoza has never taken a snap in the NFL. We don't know what Fernando Mendoza's NFL career is going to look like, but I do know this. I know Fernando Mendoza is a national champion, and unlike JJ McCarthy, Fernando Mendoza wasn't getting carried. This guy was leading Indiana into being a high-powered offense. I watched the tape of Fernando Mendoza, and I say to myself, this is a guy that can definitely be a top 12 starter in the NFL. I actually think Fernando Mendoza can be a lot better than that. I also watched Fernando Mendoza's journey from day one, and I think, man, this guy knows how to improve himself at a high level. This guy has made improvements every single season in college football. Now think about how Fernando Mendoza improves with each passing game. I love the guy's work ethic. I love his intangibles. I love his leadership. And I also love the fact how he can be an absolute master at throwing the back shoulder. I mean, holy cow, that is his superpower. I have never seen a quarterback throw a better back shoulder throw than Fernando Mendoza. He has been able to do that at a high level each and every game. I look at the tape of Indiana, I'm saying to myself, how did Fernando Mendoza throw it in that window? How does Fernando Mendoza throw it with such elite accuracy and be so calm under pressure? Fernando Mendoza has, quite frankly, a lot of intangibles that you say to yourself, yeah, that's generational, and I love the mindset Fernando Mendoza has. If Fernando Mendoza can continue being a goody two-shoes, there's no reason for me to expect Fernando Mendoza to be a bust at the NFL level. Worst case scenario, I think Fernando Mendoza is going to be a solid starter in the NFL. I also want to show you guys this clip of Dan Orlovsky getting nitpicky with Fernando Mendoza. He's talking about how Fernando Mendoza's first 8 games were not that good in comparison to Ty Simpson's first 8 games at Alabama. Quite frankly, he came off as a hater. He was saying this to Stephen A. Smith on First Take. Roll the film.
I'm through 8 games now, and through 8 games, you see good, but there's a lot of underwhelming. I think there's a lot when you watch Mendoza's tape through 8 games, not all the way through, and I understand that his season finishes strong, but I don't know, there's not a ton of big-time throws. There's a lot of clean pockets. There's a ton of RPOs and back shoulder fades, a ton of them, RPOs and back shoulder fades. And then there's moments where you see, like, okay, that first read's not there. He's spooked with his feet, and he becomes a runner unnecessarily. If you take away the RPOs and then those back shoulder fades, there's just not a ton of balls over the middle of the field. Very good decisions. I think that's his superpower is he avoids negative plays. But you're looking at a guy that you're saying first pick, and I think through 8 games, Ty Simpson's tape from Alabama through the first 8 games of the season, I think is significantly more impressive than Fernando Mendoza's.
Is the man retarded?
Yeah, Dan Orlovsky sure acts like one. Dan Orlovsky is one of the biggest idiots that you will see at ESPN. And the sad thing with Dan Orlovsky is, I don't even actually think he's that stupid. I think he's just being paid to be that stupid because producers are telling Dan Orlovsky, hey, go ahead and act like Skip Bayless 2.0 so we can get more clicks on our network. So Dan Orlovsky is just complying and saying stupid stuff just to get clicks on ESPN. I cannot stand this shit Dan Orlovsky is saying because Dan Orlovsky doesn't actually know what he is doing to the brand of football. He's actually damaging the credibility of ESPN. And look, I understand everybody looks at ESPN as a joke already, myself included, but when he says hot takes like Ty Simpson is going to be better than Fernando Mendoza, I'm looking at Dan Orlovsky and I'm asking myself, does this guy need to be locked up in a mental institution? What kind of stupidity are we talking about? Did we not watch the college football playoff? Did we not watch Ty Simpson lose by 5 touchdowns to Indiana? Did we not watch Fernando Mendoza throw more touchdowns than incompletions? And I understand college stats are not necessarily relative to success at the NFL level, but I saw Fernando Mendoza make tight window throws throughout the course of that game. Meanwhile, I saw Ty Simpson was taking sack after sack in that ball game and not being accurate with the football. When I think of Ty Simpson, I think of Mac Jones 2.0, but not nearly quite as good. If that's the case, then Ty Simpson is not going to be a good player at the NFL level in comparison to Fernando Mendoza. When I watch Fernando Mendoza play, I think a lot about how this guy is the athletic version of Phillip Rivers. I love the way how Fernando Mendoza throws the back shoulder throw. I love the way how he's robotic in the pocket. I love the fact how he is elite at reading pre-snap defenses. And I know that Fernando Mendoza is not great post-snap, but I know that Fernando Mendoza more than makes up for it with his anticipation and his ability to understand where his first read is at all times. You're never going to have to worry about the lack of work ethic for Fernando Mendoza. There's never going to be a problem with him if Fernando Mendoza can just continue being a humble kid like he has been all life long. This guy's going to be at least a solid starter in the NFL, which is more than what I could ever say of Ty Simpson. I know a lot of people have loved Ty Simpson, but the only way I see Ty Simpson being successful at the NFL level is if he gets drafted to the Los Angeles Rams and sits behind Matthew Stafford for a season or 2. Outside of that, I don't really see Ty Simpson amounting to much of anything at the NFL level. As for Fernando Mendoza, go ahead and get drafted by the Las Vegas Raiders, sit behind Kirk Cousins for a year. I think this guy is going to turn out better than what people are expecting. Worst case scenario, I think this guy is going to be a Kirk Cousins type of player, but best case, I think this guy is going to be Phillip Rivers 2.0, but with more mobility. I'm excited to see what Fernando Mendoza can showcase. Dan Orlovsky is going to be proven wrong, just like he has been throughout the course of his time at ESPN. Dan Orlovsky is a complete joke. This guy's going to get busted with this Fernando Mendoza take. Pretty soon, we're going to be playing that clip, and we're going to be laughing at Dan Orlovsky and asking, was he on crack? Because quite frankly, Dan Orlovsky made one of the stupidest takes any man could have made at ESPN. So that is why Dan Orlovsky is extremely crazy for believing Ty Simpson will be better than Fernando Mendoza, as Dan Orlovsky is only saying this to produce more clicks at ESPN moving forward. Remember, go ahead and subscribe to Sports Guy Talking, like the video, and please comment down below. If you guys do that, I'm gonna shout you guys out in my Instagram story every Monday. That'll be for the @DustinStran Instagram account. Make sure to follow me on Instagram @DustinStran, and that's Sports Guy Talking. Also, go follow me on Twitter @DustinStran. Again, go ahead and do those things that I just told you guys to go do. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the content that was just produced. Peace out. I hope you enjoyed that video. Want more Sports Guy Talking, the home of great sports content? Make sure you click that subscribe button to get the latest from Sports Guy Talking. Go ahead and like the video, comment down below, check the description box on the video in order to follow my Instagram and Twitter. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the YouTube channel, Sports Guy talking.